Your favorite Resident Evil game? It sucks. Nah, I'm just playing. We're switching gears today. We're going to Resident Evil for a day. Today I'm going to be making a Resident Evil game tier list, ranking them from the best to the worst. If you're excited for more Resident Evil and Mortal Kombat content, give this video a like and share it with a friend. Tell your friends, tell everybody to subscribe to my channel, and let's dive right in. Let's start off with a bang here. So everybody knows that Resident Evil 4 is highly regarded as not only one of the best Resident Evil games, but one of the best games of all time in any genre. So it's widely considered the best. It's not my favorite, which you're going to find out what exactly is. But let's go ahead and get the obvious out of the way. Resident Evil 4 original, benchmark, and inspired tons of different shooters in the years afterwards. So Resident Evil 4 is S tier for sure. And I do like how they've done the S plus for the S tier. That's a really nice touch. Where do we go from here? I could just load them all up with S's and then go to A's and B's, but where's the fun in that? Let's go. Well, and there's a lot of these I haven't played as well, so bear with me. I won't. We'll make a new tier. I don't even know what that says, but I know I've never played that. Umbrella Chronicles, Dead Aim, Umbrella Corps. A lot of these are really. I didn't play that. Didn't play that. Didn't play that. Didn't play that. A lot of these are really just spin-off games, really, anyway, and you know, kind of just a lot of them require the the gun you point and shoot at the thing. I think the rest of these I have played. Now we just gotta start ranking them. So we'll try to do an order here. So Code Veronica, it's not the worst. It's not, is there going to be anything in the D tier on here? I don't think any of the, maybe Code Veronica is D. We won't add another tier. We won't add another tier. We got to do it with what we got here. I think it's a C tier. Pretty clunky. It uses the same tank controls as the older Resident Evils. This one just doesn't come together as well. Some of the characters are forgettable as well, except for Claire. I think C is decent right now, and I may jumble these all up later, but as of right now, it's a C. Operation Raccoon City. I love this game personally. I'm gonna try to take. This tier list is a mixture of my favorites and what they are as well. Operation Raccoon City, it's not the greatest game, but the fact that it takes place in kind of the events of Resident Evil 2 make me not want to give it a D. God, this is tough. As of right now, I'm gonna put it as C right now, but that is subject to change for sure. Very fun game, especially if you have friends to play with. If you're playing it by yourself, it's most definitely a D. But if you've got friends, it's a C. Resident Evil 7. I love this game personally, but I don't think it's as good as some of the games that are going to be inserted into the S tier. As of right now, we'll make that an A. The first Resident Evil game, I believe that was first person. They had gone across, they had went through a string of games that were not the greatest with 6 and then the couple Revelation games. So to come back with that, I think it's a solid A. I think it belongs in the A tier. I think that's pretty accurate. The first Revelations game. I often get confused on which is which, and I'm pretty sure this one. Okay, yeah, now I know. Yeah. This one's not the episodic one, I believe, like Revelations 2 is. I could be wrong though. If it's the one that I'm thinking of, man, I kind of think the Revelations games are C tier as well. Am I crazy? Am I crazy? I'm going to give Revelations a B. You know, pretty fun game. You know, most of the spinoffs are like this, but this one I don't believe they categorize it as a mainline game. I think B is pretty accurate. Resident Evil 4 Remake. You guys are going to be mad. Resident Evil 4 Remake is better than the original Resident Evil 4. That's just my opinion. Don't unsubscribe, please. We can talk this out. You can let me know in the comments which one you like better. I personally think the controls, the only really nitpick I have for it is the controls. I don't like how you move forward and backwards and look around with the same stick. I think that's a little confusing, and I don't much care for it. I think Resident Evil 4 controls, I think everything about Resident Evil 4 Remake is perfect. It's not my favorite, which you're still going to find out, but I like the remake of Resident Evil 4 better than the original. I know that's controversial, but that's the way it's staying. Resident Evil Village. I really like this game, but I feel like after a while, I got like 10 hours into this game, I feel, and I'm defeating boss after boss after boss, and I'm to the point, and I was to the point in that game where I could not wait for it to end. So you think you're coming to a close, and then you're not, and then you think you're coming to a close again, and you're not. For me, it's and if you haven't seen the previous tier list that I've done, if I've got, like, for example, we've got C, I've got Code Veronica closer to the left than Operation Raccoon City. I think Code Veronica is better than Operation Raccoon City. I've got them kind of tiered inside the tier list, so I think Village is really good. I think it's an A tier as well, but I don't think it's as good as 7, so I'm going to put it behind here. And honestly, if we could stop with the first person and the Ethan story, I would appreciate that as well. These games are good, but they're not as nearly as good as some of these remakes and some of these other entries that they have. They're good. You know, they sell a lot, so they'll probably keep doing it anyway, but me personally, I'm ready to get back to what Resident Evil's about. Resident Evil Outbreak File 2. Where's the first? Okay, first Outbreak's on here too. Outbreak File 2. I think it's a C tier as well. Do I think it is? Yeah, it's not as good as these two, I believe. The first Outbreak we can talk about, but yeah, I don't think it's as good as the first, and I don't think it's better than these, but it's not terrible. I don't know if there's any Resident Evil game that belongs in D, honestly. Ooh, actually there is. Stay tuned. I think C is a good spot for it. I played this one probably the least of all the ones that we're going to be ranking. I can honestly hardly even remember it. I remember the first one, you know, pretty well, but the second one, I think right here, and you know, that could be subject to change if I go through and play it again. RE-verse. A Resident Evil. I don't even know what the hell we're supposed to call this thing, but it's D. It's kind of fun if you've got a couple buddies, but it's not that great, really. I mean, there's not much to say about it. It's just a game. The very first Resident Evil for PS1. I like how they have the old cover too. This game horrified me as a kid, and I never even played it. I just watched my older brother play it. And to tell you a funny story here in the middle of the tier list, as a kid, my older brother, he had the director's cut for the Resident Evil 1, and we had to share a room, and the game horrified me. I'd be like, please don't play that, and he'd be like, no, don't even worry about it. And he went to, you know, somewhere and left for, you know, the day. I remember taking this because it was a 2-disc set. He had it was a big case. I remember taking that and hiding it in the very top of the closet where he couldn't play it and find it. And I don't remember the outcome, but I don't think he ever found it. So, sorry, Keith. But going back, and now that it's, it's a classic and everything, I think it's really good. I think the remake is a lot better. So I'm going to add this one to B as well, but it's better than Revelations. I'll say that. So that's what we're currently at. The remake. It's S tier, guys. It's so good. Honestly, there's a lot of people, even though it states with the tank controls, there's a lot of people that still prefer this remake over everything. They think this remake is better than every Resident Evil game. And some days I kind of agree. It's fantastic. If you've never played any Resident Evil and you want to start, and you're like, I'll start with the first one. Just start with this remake. It's going to be okay. This remake is excellent. Excellent game. Definitely belongs in the S tier. The first Outbreak, I'm going to put in the C tier as well, but it's better than all of these. I didn't get to. I played it when I was younger on PS2, and it's a fun game, but I didn't get to play the multiplayer aspect of it. I think there's a mod that's still out there that keeps the online alive somehow. But there's no voice communications. There never was. It's more kind of like a pinging system, I think, or maybe some in-game communication between the characters. But this is a very fun game. I don't know if it's as good as what's going to be in B, but I think it's better than all of everything else. Outbreak, it's a good game. Resident Evil 2 Original. You can argue, in my opinion, that it's the best Resident Evil game. I personally like it better than the first Resident Evil, and you guys are going to be pissed. I like it better than the original Resident Evil 4, and now that I'm thinking about it, I may like it better than the remake of Resident Evil 4. To be determined. I definitely like it better than these two. I love this game. The setting of it, so you've got the setting of it, you've got the exploration of the police station. I just think that is so, the puzzles are fantastic. This game is great, and really it's what Resident Evil is about. If somebody was trying to get into it, I would recommend Resident Evil 2 to them for sure. Resident Evil 6. If you're just counting them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, this one's definitely the worst of the bunch, I feel. So, with that being said, where does it rank? Because it's better than Outbreak, but is it a B or is it a C? We'll give it a B, but it's definitely worse than all the other games here. It's not that great. It's definitely a skippable game. It was bad enough that they had to switch it from third person to first person and completely change the entire story up. Just me. Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. A tier for sure. It's really good. It's one of my favorites, and it has the greatest Resident Evil enemy of all time with Nemesis. It's really fun, and it kind of takes away from it's not as scary. It's not really a horror game. It's more like an action game with a lot of with some scary parts in it. But Nemesis really being all around you all the time and kind of keeping you on your toes kind of makes me want to put it S tier, but it really doesn't belong with the games that are up here, if you ask me. So it's really fun to play, and I think A is where it belongs. Resident Evil 0. I like this game a lot, and I realize that I could be the only one that does like this game. I do understand that it has some issues. Let's play 0. Is it better than 6? I think it belongs here. I don't think it's as good as 6, and that's kind of saying something. Here's the thing, though. The original Resident Evil is really, really good, and these two are just okay. I feel like we need to move this up to here now, because it just does not belong with these guys, in my opinion. I think that's what we're going to do. Resident Evil original, up to A, but I still don't like it as much as these ones, the original. Resistance. I've got a spot for you, and it's in the D tier, but you're still better than Reverse. Same as before, you know, they tried to, you know, dip their feet into some multiplayer gameplay. It doesn't really land. If you've got 4 or 5 buddies to play with, maybe like in a private match, if that's even possible, I would imagine that it would be really, really fun. But just how it is, going in by yourself or maybe with just like one buddy, it's not really a good time, honestly. There's a reason that it was free. Now we're finally here. Resident Evil 2 Remake is the best Resident Evil game. Resident Evil 2 Remake is the epitome. I know I've said it a lot here, but if somebody was like, hey, how can I get into Resident Evil? I'm telling you, this game right here. This channel covers Mortal Kombat and Resident Evil. If this game doesn't exist, I don't even want to cover Resident Evil, to be honest with you. It's fantastic. One of the best games ever made, and a lot of critics say that it's the best remake ever made, and I'm right there with them. This game is hella good. So good. I love this game and can play it at any time. And if you can kind of see it in the background of my picture here, I've got the collector's edition. It's hard to do it with the camera backwards. Right there. It's right there. It's fantastic. Love this game. Resident Evil 5. Another game that I really, really love, but I know it's got some issues. Alright, here's what we're going to do. We're moving this back. We're moving 5 to A tier because it's great, and I like it better than these two. I mean, it's almost S tier if you've got somebody to play with. It's still not better than these ones, but it could belong in here if you're playing it multiplayer. Single player, it's still really good. You know, very fun story. You finally get to fight Wesker. I don't think you get to fight Wesker, who's running the show from the very beginning until this game, unless I'm mistaken. No, I think that's it. And the boss fight's not really all that, I guess. But Resident Evil 5, very fun game. You know, it's taken away from, you know, it's more action than it is anything else. But Resident Evil 5, very fun game if you haven't played it. It's really, really good. The remake of 3. I love this game personally, and I know a lot of people criticize it for taking a lot of stuff out, which is fine. I get that. Where do I put it, though? I put it, as a matter of fact, right here. And I know, I feel like I'm kind of... No, original's better. I know I'm kind of taken away from the tier list a little bit because your S tier isn't supposed to have the most things. The most, you know, the most games or the most items or whatever it is that you're exactly making the tier list of. But are you going to tell me that any of these games right here don't belong in the S tier? Because if you are, I'd like to know which one, and I would like to know the case that you present, because these all 5, these are your top 5 Resident Evil games if you ask me. Honestly, if you ask anybody, I don't know what else you put up here unless you're on a nostalgia kick and you want to put the original Resident Evil in over the remake, but I'm not seeing that. You can't leave Resident Evil 4 out. You can't leave 2 or the 2 remake out. You can't leave this remake out because this one's arguably better than this one. I just don't understand. I mean, I don't know what else you could put in here. These 5 are Resident Evil. They really are. Yeah, that's basically it. What did I just rank? Oh yeah, the 3 remake. They took a lot of stuff out. It's very fun. Isn't as fun as the original Resident Evil 3, but it's still a really good game, and I like it here. I know. I feel kind of bad that I've got so many. I've got top 10 in the top 2. I've got 10 in the top 2 tiers, but I've only got a couple in B. But we're going to add another one because Revelations 2 is here because I like the episodic thing. Actually, that's a lie. I did not like the episodic thing. I can't talk. But this game is still very fun for what it's worth. Not much to really talk about on the Revelations. I didn't play them too much, but I do remember liking 2 a little bit better than 1, and they're both better than 6. So, get us a little shot there. This is our Resident Evil tier list. S+ tier, I've got Resident Evil 2 Remake, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 4 Original, and the remake of Resident Evil 1. A tier, we've got Resident Evil 3 Original, Resident Evil 3 Remake, Resident Evil 5, 7, and Village. B, we've got the first Resident Evil, Revelations 2, Revelations 1, and Resident Evil 6. C tier, we've got Zero, Outbreak, Code Veronica, Operation Raccoon City, and Outbreak File 2. D tier, we've got Resistance in the Reverse, the little free games that came with some of the other games that are multiplayer. And then I have not played any of these ones down here to my knowledge. And if I have, let's be honest, they're a D tier. Honestly, from the gameplay that I've seen of all of these games, I'm pretty sure all of these games belong in D or even lower tier. So this is perfectly fine where we've got them anyway. But I think we've got it pretty accurate based on how I like these games, how much I appreciate these games, and I feel like the legacy that they left behind. I feel like this tier list is a pretty good representation of that. Yeah, that's my tier list. Let me know in the comments what you agree with, what you disagree with, what you would have in S tier. Do I have something ranked too high? Do I have something ranked too low? Leave any kind of comment at all, and I will get back to you. I could talk about Resident Evil for a long time. If you want to talk about Mortal Kombat on a Resident Evil video, I don't care either. I know a lot of this channel is going to be me covering Mortal Kombat more than Resident Evil. That's because Mortal Kombat is the most special thing to me. Resident Evil is one of my favorite. It's my second favorite series, and I love it. But that's how far the gap is from this and Mortal Kombat. Resident Evil is just fun. Mortal Kombat is life. So yeah, just leave a comment, like, share. We're up to over 50 subscribers now, so we're on a good track here. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and subscribe for more, and we'll be back. And thank you for watching.